Hello everybody, welcome back to the Nidd. So here we are. As you can see, the sunrise is coming up. So today we have a lot to do, a lot to discuss, a lot going on. If you guys watched the last episode, you know the craziness that happened there. So you'll see I'm standing on a lander here. This is the lander that I brought back down that you guys saw in the last episode when I had to find my way back. I have a whole bunch of work been done since then. Today in this episode, basically what I want to do, I want to get back on track. So I have decided to rebuild instead of, just head over to the other spaceports and stuff, or ground ports. So I've ground down the entire ship, and I've rebuilt most of what was lost, but I also rebuilt a bit more. So here it is. Here's what we got so far. So today what I want to do is I want to finish this rover. So in this episode, the goal is we are going to actually finish this rover off. I've done a bunch of work on it already. You see these lovely little holes here. I keep logging in and wheels are missing. So the pistons were still a great idea for that, but there was a whole bunch of theories as to what happened with this rover, why it busted as just as spectacularly as it did. And a lot of condolences and heartfelt feelings for my loss. So thank you everybody so much for all of that. Lots of theories, like obviously netcode is the first and foremost on most people's mind. It was the first one on mine. I just assumed it was a game glitch, glitchy and buggy as hell. But we did get a few other theories as well. And the one that seemed to stick out to me the most was we had we had the pistons with the landing gear on them. And oh god, what's going on over here? No! What? Why are you smoking? Large steel tubes. It just got hit by an asteroid? What are those guns doing? But yeah, so the theory was that that when I turned, I was going pretty fast actually. I didn't even realize how fast I was going until I watched the video back. But I was going, like 200, 240, 50 kilometers an hour or so. Whew, that was close. Yeah, we were going really fast, and somebody spotted, I think it was Drills 007 spotted, maybe that the landing gear and the piston actually hit the ground, like as these guys came down, and we were taking the corner so fast it kind of tilted to the side, and it caught. And when it caught, the landing gear exploded, which caused the piston to explode, which of course exploded the ship's internals, which caused a chain reaction all the way down the ship. When the cargo containers exploded, that was the end of it all, right? Because they just spew out everything, and then the whole thing just went up in a spectacular, explosion of sadness and pain. So I think that might be what happened. And there was lots of other great theories too about like wheels maybe bumping into each other or into the side of the ship, or stuff of that nature. But ultimately, I think that might have been what the cause was. And if that's the case, that actually makes me happy because, I put a cockpit on this here. Let's do a bit of a tour here. If it was just engineering, problems and not the game, then I'm cool with that. That means I just need to, re-engineer. In a conversation with Elemental Blaze 79, reminded me that, I'm a space engineer. This is what this game is all about. So if I did done screw up, then I just need to, get my engineering chops on. If it was a game bug, that really sucks. And definitely part of it was game bug, like the saving thing that happened earlier and all that kind of stuff. But anyhow, let's do a quick tour here. This is the back of the rover, all finished up with a nice little looking bay here. And the ramp that you guys have all seen, and it works really well. And so you'll notice too that the ramp is actually pretty close to the ground here. And I can get up on it without using my jetpack. That is by design. I'll show you how this works a lot better, because I don't want the wheels to be that low when we're driving. And we've got a wonderful doorway here. And then this is the underbelly. Oh, I didn't turn on the lights. Do that. And this here is kind of how I was envisioning to get up to the landing bay, or the loading dock. And I did have a suggestion about, you know, maybe using that ramp again in here. The only problem is that, right, if I did that, it's exposed, so you would actually see through to the other side there. We'll go into the details of the updated design that I've got going on here as well. But here's the landing bay. You can see I've got all of the stuff back in here, and this is kind of where you could maybe ultimately drive a Rover up into this. There's going to be, what we're going to do in this episode, the main aspect of this episode is going to be to build the retract, or the ramp that goes down here to let something get into the vehicle. This is obviously floating in space right now, but this is the new kind of top spine. I used cargo containers instead of conveyors and stuff because this ship definitely has a cargo problem. So I thought, you know, I'll just make the spine, the top spine out of cargo containers, and then, you know, maybe that helps me with my cargo problem. As well as conveying all of these up. So this will be the top of the Rover here with its point defense that are not doing so well. I've lost 3 wheels in the last couple of days just building this. So here's all the stuff that we had here before. So we got the assembler with all of the modular attachments. I've got power on the assembler, 2 power and 2 efficiency, I think it is, on the refinery, and we head on up over here. So I also embedded these batteries right in here. I think they're fairly well protected. They're in the guts of the ship. And I could add more, you know, down in that way if I need them. And then back here, I've got my medical bay, my reactor, as well as the batteries down there for power. I'm obviously going to need more power than that, but this is a start. And yeah, then you have access to other stuff back here. Now here's the new cockpit. This is what, I really like this design. I think it looks really cool. And when you're actually sitting, you can look around. You can even see kind of underneath you and up above you as you drive, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And I got LCD monitors, but I really like the fact that I can actually drive this thing in first person. That's kind of one of my design goals for a lot of the stuff I'm going to do in this, on this build and on this server, is allow myself to actually do things in first person. Obviously third person is nice too, but so here is the ship or the Rover in its current state in all its glory. I love the look of the front here. I think that looks really nice. I love how that cockpit kind of looks out, and it'll look even better once we finish the ship off. So while we're looking at this, here's some of the new design aspects of this Rover. One, I seem to have built it a little bit longer. That wasn't actually part of the plan, but I built it a bit longer, it seems, which is fine. Gives it a bit more space. The other thing that I am purposely doing here is you'll see that the wheel wells have nothing in them. Now, for sure you want to keep, what I've learned is you want to keep at least this kind of one all the way around. You want to keep this all clear, because these wheels will intersect with a lot of that. Now, right up on here might be safe, right? But I'm just super worried about it now. But you definitely don't want to come out into this area, especially because the wheels will turn and hit those things. But the reason I'm keeping all of this clear is because this is kind of where the pistons were in the past. And I was worried that too, maybe even the wheels were hitting the pistons. I also noticed that the pistons, when they were being used and going up and down and stuff, they were actually damaging some of the blocks here. So that's definitely a concern. So I've just decided that when you're building a Rover, this entire underbelly, this all has to stay open and clear. So I'm just going to build basically starting at that red line there, up and up, right? There's nothing else going to be underneath this. So that's kind of part of my new strategy. Also, I have made this thing a lot beefier. I did get some comments as well about that there just wasn't enough to this ship. There was lots of blocks that were hanging on, you know, just by one block here and there. And so when things did go wrong, it was, you know, bound to be bad. So you'll notice that this thing is a lot, like, it's fatter now. The wheels are out further. There was a lot more beef all the way through here. All of this is built out. So there's basically this whole chassis now it has blocks touching on its sides and things. There's nothing hanging off. There's nothing holding on by a thread. So that's the other design change that I've made to this. So I'm hoping that will help out with, even if, you know, there is a bit of damage, it won't cause the whole thing to just explode into nothing. This is a little aesthetic thing I did here. I don't know if I like it, but it's kind of neat. Kind of looks kind of cool. Yeah, then these on the top there for the walking and stuff. So if we come back up here, and I got this on here just as a way to cover this up but still kind of look through. Kind of nice. And yeah, so the last thing I want to show you guys then is up here in the cockpit is you'll notice this. So you'll see here that my handbrake is on and the height offset of all my wheels is negative 0.5. Now if we jump back into this, what I'm looking for is this, and I go handbrake on and off. And I've also got a programming block, so that's on 3 and 4. So if we look here, right now the handbrake is on and the wheels are where they are and they're really close to the ground, which allows me to get on and off. What I can do now is I can turn the handbrake off and then I can hit the program, doink, and it raises all of my wheels up so that now we're at the height offset that I want for when we're driving, right? So which I think that works really well. And then when we park, you know, we turn on the handbrake and I hit the program, it lowers me down, locks me in place, and then I can make the ramp go down and all as well. So if I just, let's do the opposite of that again, and I'll jump out. So you can see here, my offset for driving is negative 1.5, and they're all set to that now, and my handbrake is off. Another cool thing is you can actually just kind of look at it from in here, right? So if I turn on my handbrake, boom, right? Handbrake on. So that's, I actually wrote this script. Basically all it does is just goes through, finds your wheels, and sets all of their height offset to the same value. It does use a toggle, so it actually uses the handbrake on and off to decide what to do. So you don't actually have to have 2 different buttons or 2 different scripts. So that's kind of cool. Let's get to work. Let's finish this ship off. So that's the basic design I think that I'm going for. The other thing that we're going to do is there was some suggestions as well to, you know, maybe go with a flying. I think I was thinking, or other people were thinking, that maybe I should go with a flying ship instead of a rover. And there was also some suggestions to go in like a dual mode, right, with thrusters and wheels. So that's kind of what I'm going to go with here. Is we're going to use thrusters. I'm not going to put the pistons on. I'm going to use thrusters instead, and then we're going to allow this thing to not only drive but to clear mountain ranges and stuff with thrusters. So that's my goal. Let's get started. So Drills 007 actually reminded me about SE Toolbox. It's something I've actually used quite a bit in the past, but I haven't actually used it recently. He was saying that it's a great tool when you're in creative and you're designing your ship, right? You can use it for doing a lot of the math and giving you a lot of the information about doing the math, and to test things out to see how things are built and all that kind of jazz. So thanks again for that. I'll probably start using it again. In the last video, I was talking about actually putting a trailer system on the back of the Rover, and Bell Orso actually said that, you know, you probably could just lengthen it and, you know, add all the things that you needed to it. That's a great idea, so thank you for that. I still think it might be cool to play with the trailer just to see if I'm capable of doing it. He was also saying that landing gears, like I was talking about how landing gears have been fixed now, and they have been fixed for putting blocks, like landing gears on actual blocks that you build, but they still seem to be like serious issues and serious trouble when you try and attach a landing gear to the actual ground, right? The voxels, the ground voxels of the planet. And the last thing he said too was that I should start putting like group and solo on the titles of the video, so that if anybody, you know, is in the mood for one of the group sessions or in the mood for just the solo stuff, you can tell really quickly from the title. So I've started doing that as well. So thank you again very much for all your suggestions. I really appreciate it. Got a nice comment too from Domi saying that he really liked the ramp that I'm using, that it works really well. And I totally agree. I think that the way that mod looks and works is just perfect for what I'm trying to do. Nova Cantra was saying that he really likes the idea of the mountain base that we're talking about building on the planet on the other side when I ever get there. He also thinks that the idea of that nomadic mobile base is super cool. So I think we're gonna do both. Like I'm gonna be coming over the mountain range with my mobile base. And he also was talking about, you know, making a spaceport so that we can have some interesting designs. People could build their ships, get up into space, come down, do all that kind of stuff. There's a plan in the works to make a spaceport as well, and that would obviously be outside of the mountain base. So I think that kind of works well. the last thing that he suggested, and I really do have to build this into the design somehow, having some kind of a way of righting the ship, you know, so that if it actually ends up on its back on the ground, how do I right it? Like you saw that in the last episode as well, where it actually got flipped over on its side. So I'm thinking of maybe some kind of a bar that I can extend out and, you know, just topple it back over using a rotor maybe or something like that. If you guys have any ideas or suggestions about how to right your Rover, definitely put them in the comments. I'd love to hear them. All right, so here we are. And there's what it almost looks like. What do you guys think so far? I think this thing's looking pretty sweet at the moment. I'm really liking the design of this thing. And I like the front look of this a lot. There's still some stuff that has to be done on the bottom of the front here. Like spotlights and maybe a little bit of design going on down here. I have to put spotlights all around this thing actually, but you guys might have noticed that I got attacked by meteors once again. Actually caught it on camera. It damaged like that wheel over there pretty badly, and I think all of these wheels had a little bit of damage on them, and then this one was completely gone once again, so I had to replace that wheel too. If you guys have any idea or suggestions, I guess, on how to make these things more effective, just so you know the way that I've currently got them set up, so that all they're doing, so they've got a range, so I used to have it at a radius of 200 meters, so I've upped that to 300, maybe that'll help. And the other thing is that I've only got it targeted meteors, everything else is off, right? And it's using the conveyor system, and it's got tons of ammo, right? Like they're full of lots of ammo, so is that just, I just have to deal with it, I guess, maybe there's actually a way to make them more effective. I thought having 3 of them on top of here, and I mean, there's still that one over there too, so there's technically 4 trying to knock down asteroids, but there's still losing my wheels. And it's a bit of work to replace those things. You saw kind of the build of this loading dock in the back here. I like the angled design here of the back here as well. I like how that kind of turned out. Pretty cool if you ask me. Oh, I missed, I guess that got, yeah, there was a bit of an oopsie-daisy with the rotor there, and things got a little blown up. I had to rebuild a lot of the bottom of this. And that's why you saw me fly off to grab bits of things over there, I think, at one point. But yeah, so that was a little bit of interesting fun. So let's get up in here. So I've added some lighting, and I've made it red, and I got some red in here too. I don't know, I think I like it right now at the moment. I might change it. So then we've got this door, right? And of course, yeah, it's got a lot of gaps or whatever in it, but whatever, it's fine. This thing doesn't need to be airtight, and I want to make sure that it doesn't break anything. Now this is a bit of an interesting design, you guys might notice or might think. So if I click this button, it'll go down. And I've got it set at a specific angle that works well with also extending these guys out so that they come down and touch the ground. And it's on an angle that I think should work well to actually drive a rover up it. Now, like, the rover will probably have to have a bit of power put into its wheels to make it happen. But this was my idea about how to make a ramp that actually could get a rover up into the back of that at an angle that made sense without having to build like a stupid long, you know, backing going up. Like if I made it just the size of that, and like the angle would be way too steep. So this was my solution, you know. This isn't really good for, you know, jumping up on all that much. You'd have to fly a little bit, but and maybe a little bit of work can be done here to make this you know, even better aligned with the ground. But I think a decent sized, like a small rover with maybe the medium sized wheels could easily probably traverse this. I haven't tested this yet, so we'll see. But I like this idea. And obviously the wheels would have to be that far apart. perfectly to come up these ramps, and then that also lines up with these gutters here, right? It's almost like I planned it. And then drive on in and park. And technically I could even park maybe a couple in here. This antenna might ultimately have to move because it is taking up a lot of space in here, but for now it's good. But yeah, so there is the finished back of the Rover. I think it looks pretty cool. I like it. Yeah, any thoughts or suggestions, you guys, more than welcome, obviously, to give me your opinions. Yeah, get out. There we go. Very cool. I like it. So yeah, so we got our 3-point defense cannons up here. I've got this nice looking sleek design. These things here are just purely aesthetic, right? Like I thought it looked kind of cool to have almost like a spiky looking thing. Now, the next thing we need to do is I want to put on some of these large thrusters. And I've kind of got them set up to go here. So if we put like one there, one there, we're gonna have 4 of these bad. Oh, I put that on the wrong spot. One there, and then we'll have to fix this back into its beautiful spot, like a soul. So let me weld these things up. So that's going to be the start, and then I'm hoping that 4 of these will be enough to lift this thing up. It should be. In my testing that I did, it could definitely lift it up. I don't know about hover, though. I don't know how that actually works. Just hover somewhere, but we'll play with it. So yeah, these will go on here. I'll finish welding these up, and then we also need to put some smaller ones on for like maneuvering in the air. I've put on the 4 of these massive atmospheric engines that all face up, and I've got 4 of these little guys here. So 2 that should go forward, and 2 that will go backwards, so that you can adjust a bit. I'm not sure if I need, maybe you guys can let me know if you think that it makes sense to also have left and right ones. Obviously I don't need any down because that's gravity, but left and right ones for maneuvering, I don't know if it's even worth it, because I guess I could turn with my gyros and then just use forward and back. But yeah, that's something to think about. And I just started throwing in some of the solar panels now. There needs to be a bunch more of these. I'm going to put some here, like some in between here, and then some back here as well, along the back end. Woo! Try not to kill myself. But so here's the basic design of the new Rover, right? We've got the ability to lift off, the ability to, go over mountain ranges even if we wanted to, and then land back down and keep driving. So I think it's kind of maybe the best of both worlds. You guys let me know what you think of this design in the comments. I would really love to know if I've forgotten or missed anything. But yeah, like I'm really happy with the way that this thing is turning out. I started to work a little bit also down here, like filling this in, putting the spotlight. There's more work needs to be done in around here. I think this might actually have to stay kind of like this because again, I'm trying to keep the gap there. I could do something here, but I want to definitely keep that gap. But yeah, so spotlights are going to go around here. We're also going to have some spotlights, like kind of like in between these areas here, so that we can shine out around us. Some spotlights on the back to shine back, so that when we're driving, we can always light our way up. And so, but yeah, I think this is basically the finished ship. Or the finished Rover. I keep calling it a ship. This is basically what the Rover was intended to look like, except for the major differences on the top. There are atmospheric thrusters up there now, and there were no atmospheric thrusters in the original design. Actually, up there it was all solar panels. It was like a massive amount of solar panels up there. But yeah, like this is looking pretty cool. Now I need to make a Rover that will work on this. I'm liking this a lot. I'm liking the ramp system. I'm liking this. I think it looks really cool. And I love my cockpit up here. This thing I think looks amazing. Amazing. Oh, power. Power, yes. I cannot forget power. So I'm going to probably put a bunch more batteries down in here. And then so that we can store that power, because we're not going to be able to fly without massive amounts of power. Like this little guy here, this guy here ain't going to cut it. Maybe I'll see if I can find a way to fit a large reactor back there too, but maybe just having a ton of batteries, some solar panels, and letting it just charge up might be the solution. And this beautiful cockpit, I am still pretty happy with this cockpit. I think it's pretty awesome. And there she be in all her glory. I'm thinking it's looking pretty snazzy. Look at that back of it, little spot on the bottom there to get in. Yeah, I think this should work well. And it's completely finished now, except for some solar panels. You know, maybe some decorations, some lights, a few little bits of ins and outs. Tell me what you guys think, and I will talk to you all in the next episode.